Hi pals, it's me, Artie, there in pronouns only. It is really bright, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm probably squinting quite a bit in this video, you know? It's just really bright. My video this week is talking about another sort of old, like, news thing that happened a while ago. I think this was in, I don't know, there was like a couple of different things I read. One said the original article was from 2020, but like this uproar, it kind of came about in like, I think March of this year, which is just such a strange delayed response. That's like 4 years. But basically, I'm talking about the all of those news articles that were saying Kourtney Kardashian is autosexual. I wanted to look a little bit more into that one. So yeah, I read in these articles that Kourtney Kardashian identifies as autosexual. Obviously, this was followed by a lot of bad takes. So many bad takes. Whether it's because people hate the Kardashians, there are valid reasons why you would dislike the Kardashians, or people who just hate and don't understand asexual sexual identities. To be honest, probably a mixture of the two. Asexuality, like pretty much any sexuality, exists on a spectrum of varying degrees of attraction and different kinds of attraction. Autosexual is a sexual orientation on the asexual spectrum that is defined as people who are more sexually attracted to themselves than other people. This can vary in degrees. The ways it comes under asexuality is that there is often a lack of or no sexual attraction to other people. The other basic examples of what this can look like or feel like is having a hard time responding to other people's sexual touch, being able or more comfortable with self-pleasure was the wording that came up when I was looking for a definition. Feeling little to no sexual attraction to others but feeling attraction to yourself. Fantasizing about sexual interaction with yourself. Feeling attraction to yourself more than what is considered normal. That is a very brief and basic what is autosexuality. However, when I look more into the articles reporting on Kourtney Kardashian identifying as autosexual, I'm not really sure what everyone's reporting on. It all started with the blog post on Poosh, which is Kourtney's, like, I don't know, website for something. I genuinely have no idea. It is not clear who writes the posts. Some of them have got a writer byline that says a name, but quite a lot of them just kind of say Poosh. And a lot of people have taken that of itself to mean it is directly from Kourtney Kardashian. So it's not clear who actually writes and posts these blog posts generally, but especially this one. However, the topic of this particular post is mainly like centered around this particular therapist called Casey Tanner. It says in the article, Casey Tanner, therapist, writer and founder of Queer Sex Therapy, helped us define autosexuality as a trait wherein one is turned on by engaging in their own eroticism, which honestly to me could possibly mean other things than what I was thinking, but okay. There is a really big claim in this article that women in general are autosexual. Very large claim. While masturbation is the most obvious example, I don't think that's necessarily true. Autosexuality may extend beyond sexual behaviour to include feeling a longing or desire for oneself, Tanner explains. That also makes some sense. It can also be the ability to turn oneself on through looking at, visualising, touching or smelling oneself. I guess. They do go into some good detail in the Poosh post. I can't keep saying the word Poosh. Such as specifically like specifying and clarifying that this is an experience within a spectrum, and gives a variety of examples of how this could manifest. However, overall it is a very short piece and reads like quite a generic magazine article. And the spin from here on other publication sites is kind of wild, to be honest. It's a huge leap from what this blog post actually is to what they are writing. Joe.co.uk put it quite well. Before I found and read the initial blog post from Poosh that sparked all of this, I thought that this particular statement from Joe.co.uk was a bit snide. Kourtney Kardashian fans believe the star has opened up about her sexuality. It was the believe part that sort of like put me off a bit there. Back in 2020, the 44-year-old raised questions about how she identifies after she shared an article on autosexuality to her website Poosh. Joe.co.uk also contextualises the site Poosh, thank God. Poosh is a lifestyle site where Kourtney shares content around all things the modern woman needs. So to me, it feels like the post was pitched to her or to whoever it is who runs the website or blog, and was published like this. It's possible it's written by the therapist themselves in like third person as a promo, and that's why there's no writer byline. Or that whoever pitched and wrote it was aware and concerned of the combined vitriol the blog post could attract as a Kardashian post and an asexual sexuality related post. I was reading a GG2 article, I've never heard of them before, thinking maybe this was the original like post before I realised it was the Poosh blog post. Obviously it wasn't the right one, and they really characterise this blog post as Kourtney herself writing it. They open the article with, Kourtney Kardashian recently shared intimate insights into her sexuality, bravely revealing that she identifies as autosexual. And the 41-year-old recently opened up in an interview about identifying as autosexual and claimed that most women are, even if it's just a little. I don't know about you, but I didn't see Kourtney say that anywhere. But whoever wrote the blog post said some stuff about it. There are other posts on Poosh without an authored byline, which I personally can't imagine Kourtney wrote. Like, there's a few obvious ad posts, like the best yoga gear. This article also directly acknowledges a team of people working at Poosh, and Poosh posts don't seem to have a sign-off of any kind at the end. Most articles refer to the author as we, so assuming Poosh and the team, and they apparently have a team of experts to answer relationship questions. So I don't really know how we got from this blog post was published on Poosh to Kourtney is asexual. There is also no date on the article, like to show when it was published, but based on what I have read in the other articles, it was in 2020. But truly, I don't know why there is such a sudden uproar about this post now in 2024, or at least earlier this year. The article doesn't say much else, to be honest. Many other publications followed this inaccurate clickbait, like Daily Wrap, Unilad. Unilad even says therapist and writer Casey Tanner asked the Kardashian if she would class herself as autosexual, with her responding, the short answer is yes, most likely. In fact, we all are at least a little. Which is just objectively not correct at all. I guess journalists don't read the original source material these days. They quoted the intro to the article, which, by the way, says the therapist told us, like multiple people, us, not me, Kourtney, and we all are a little autosexual. The Unilad article even misgenders Casey Tanner using he pronouns. Casey uses she, they pronouns, so of all the like mainstream pronouns there are, you still manage to pick the wrong ones. Writer or editor of Unilad? What? I think they somehow mistook her for the gay adult star. And here's a further point to didn't look at source material because the queer thing that Casey Tanner is a founder of is linked. You can literally find Casey Tanner so easily. Like, I found her details very easily. I'm not even a journalist. And I can't find anywhere else where Kourtney may have spoken about this. I can't find anything that's more obviously her talking about herself rather than her team of writers on her website. Billie Eilish, however, has been directly quoted in Rolling Stone about her personal actions in private that could actually be seen as something on the autosexual spectrum, but no one is claiming autosexuality for Billie because I guess the word wasn't used. Maybe the fan bases don't cross over, I guess, between Kourtney Kardashian and Billie Eilish, you know, like but either way, when it comes to personal experience of sexuality, being mindful of how you talk about it without them there, like that's just so obvious. Like, be mindful of how you're talking about somebody else's possible sexuality. We know this is a big problem generally with both fan culture and the media. Like, they love to speculate on like people's sexuality to the point of pushing people out of the closet where they didn't want to be quite so open, to be honest, and deserved their privacy. And like, this whole situation is a little bizarre to me. Like, a very clearly curated website that's erring more towards magazine rather than blog just had a post on the blog which was about autosexuality, sort of, and that part of the website is very clearly managed by a team of people, and somehow people have automatically decided Kourtney herself was the one coming out and saying these things about herself. I'm not personally saying that she's definitely not autosexual. I'm saying she hasn't actually told us anything. like this is why my brain is like really struggling with this whole thing. You know, it's much like I'm not saying Billie Eilish is autosexual because she also hasn't said that. I'm not going to decide whether either of these people or anyone in general are definitely autosexual or not, or whatever. Like, my usual spiel of, you know, mainstream celebrities talking about or letting other people talk about topics like this, like the asexual spectrum, sort of on their platforms, is good. Particularly in this instance where I don't think anything particularly terrible or too inaccurate was said. The Push article is a bit blanket statement-y, I will definitely say that, and doesn't fully get into autosexuality itself as a sexuality. It's kind of more talking about, I don't know, feeling sexy, I think. Like, from my reading, it just seems like this is how I feel sexy and feel good about myself and enjoy alone time, and how that also helps my sex life with partners too. And that's literally like all it says. Both of these people, Kourtney Kardashian / her website, and Billie Eilish, talking about sexuality in ways that aren't commonly discussed publicly, Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. However, what the fuck has happened to journalism? Like, I've had this conversation quite a lot with, like, friends generally. We complain about journalism a lot because the state of UK journalism as it is pretty terrible. Like, just a lot of stuff is just bullshit. Like, just is a load of shit. Is not true. Has no sources to it. Seems like people are either being paid to write a certain way with a particular bias about contentious topics which benefits certain political parties most of the time in the UK. And like, I am quite disappointed in Unilad with this, but also some other blog posts as well, or not yet blog posts, I guess, I don't know, articles. Because I mean, I criticised, I think, I can't remember if it was Unilad or the other one, but I think they're both like connected companies anyway. But their title for the BPD article, which I talked about in a video a while back as well, dreadful. But like, yeah, I'm disappointed in Unilad for this and other things because, like, weirdly enough, since I finished uni, I feel like Unilad was different when I was at uni versus now. Unilad has actually become more of a trustworthy left-wing kind of source of news. Whilst they have, I think, posted something recently supporting trans people, they're still like just writing stuff that's just objectively untrue, like objectively false. And I talked to a good friend of mine who was a journalist, who gave up being a journalist because working in journalism sucks. And I don't blame her. And from her experiences and my own experiences, it sounds awful, to be honest. And they're writing stuff that's just false, where you've clearly not read the source material, like, at all, let alone skimmed it. That opens you up for legal problems, to be honest. Unilad are probably lucky that Kourtney probably doesn't give a shit about them, but also I think the Kardashians generally know how to use good and bad press, or just even inaccurate press, to benefit them. So who knows, like, this is just a theory, that maybe she is not, you know, corrected this because she's making money. Like, she's probably making money from people like trying to find out more details, find the source material that supposedly says that she's like autosexual. And it's just like, yeah, it was just kind of embarrassing reading that. Like, I know that my degree is not specifically in journalism, and I refused to take the journalism module in my BA because I did some journalism at A level and I hated it. I hated it. I can write reviews on things. Welcome to my channel where I talk about media a bunch and do some reviews on media. However, like, reporting things, nah, bitch. Nah, bitch. It was just never a skill I had. I think part of it is it was a very vague subject to be doing, so I didn't really even know what to do for that assignment. But also just the sound of that module in uni sounded boring compared to anything else. I literally chose to take poetry instead, and I didn't like poetry either. However, I did find my love for poetry. So, like, even though I personally did not really study any journalism directly in any of my courses, I definitely seem to have picked up the ability to read and actually read what's on the page and not just make up something. Like, there could have been a different angle for this. And like, I know a lot of the return of it stemmed from Kourtney Kardashian fans also completely misinterpreting that blog post. Shut up. They literally are. I'm going to lose my mind. This is not even a long video. Well, I don't think that man's going to stop mowing his lawn outside, so that's great. I'm going to have to just try and finish the video as is. Ignore the man mowing, who's just appeared out of nowhere. Mowing at 5 to 5 p.m. on a Sunday. Sir, I'm fighting so many battles today. Noise to film my videos. Do you mind? So yeah, like, I just think in general, journalism has gone downhill, partly due to who now owns most newspapers and media companies, but also just kind of down to like a general, like, I guess, laziness or carelessness. Like, I know this article for a lot of people may seem like something that doesn't really matter, something scandalous, just a bit of gossip about another Kardashian, but like, when you are part of one of those marginalized communities connected to part of the topic that has become so salacious because of the celebrity who may or may not give a shit about it, it's kind of annoying and exhausting, because like, if they just reported it accurately, it would be fine, and it would just be like, yeah, she's literally not. But because they've reported inaccurately and had such clickbaity titles, much like the BPD article from a while ago, that leads to people just like everyday citizens who don't know shit about that particular minority / marginalized group, and just kind of encourages a lot of assumptions. People are not going to read the article, but even if they read the article's fucking wrong. And it would just continue to like prove the point that they feel like they're making. Like, I didn't see many, but I did see people saying like, oh, so Kourtney is a narcissist or whatever. And like, I don't like using the term narcissist, even though I know narcissism or narcissistic qualities is like a thing unrelated to disability. The way people use that word is generally just like negative and ableist. And like, what they really mean is that they think that she's self-obsessed, stuck up her own ass. Like, maybe just say that for one. But also, like, they're saying that because autosexual, the way it's described, is very generic and kind of basic, especially in a lot of the titles of these articles. I think it was the Daily Mail that this person was responding to as well, which is not surprising. Maybe even the Sun. But also like that connected with the Kardashians in general, who are just sort of generally known / thought to be like to not give a shit about anything except for themselves. I don't really engage in Kardashian media. I did briefly for a while because it was, again, another one of those just sort of reality TV shows that was sort of like amusing when your brain doesn't work. But I haven't watched that in quite a few years. And like, I just don't really keep up with any of that shit. I don't care. They are, to me, unbearable, and that's fine. So I just don't engage with that or them. I know people enjoy hating on things in media. Me too, sometimes, but I try not to do it because honestly a lot of the time it just makes me more miserable and more angry. But like, do you see what I mean? Like, the correlation I'm trying to like share between just like inaccurate journalism that also ends up going viral a lot of the time, because that's literally the point these days of most journalism, is how to make it go viral, even if it's literally wrong. It just kind of leads to the like more encouragement of shitting on marginalized groups of people or even like marginalised individuals, because yeah, the BPD one was pretty, like, really bad, really bad. And so that was basically just making Joe, what's his face, look bad, / also everybody with BPD. So this also makes everybody in a particular section of the asexual spectrum look really shitty, and just continues the hatred towards any Kardashian, which I can understand. But please stop giving people, stop throwing marginalised communities under the bus to dunk on a celebrity. Thank you. And yeah, like, I don't really respect mainstream journalism anymore, because this is kind of all it has turned out to be now. I, for the most part, follow people who either self-taught or used to be journalists or did study journalism but don't work for these big conglomerates. Because I mean, the shit about Pink News right now is a good example as why, again, even marginalised media in the mainstream is bullshit. Always run by terrible people. Anybody who can back up their claims with sources, and again, that's why I do my best to source things I say. I don't always manage that, but I do try to be as transparent as possible about that. So you can find most of the stuff in the descriptions of my videos, or linked in blog posts if I've written a blog post about something. And in my videos, a lot of the times, not always, will have like a particular statement or statistic that comes up on the screen that will also be linked in the description. Sometimes I can't find the thing, and so I can't remember if it was actually true or not. A lot of the times it will just stay blank on the screen, won't have something in the description. Sometimes I'll put something on the screen like, I can't find this. But also sometimes I don't want to remove those to be like, hey, if anybody knows of a source for this that I can check out, please let me know, because I would like to find the sources for things that I feel like I have read before in like some kind of research study or whatever. But yeah, like, a lot of my sources, I don't like always it's rare for me to 100% agree with the source, because there's bias and bigotry everywhere, even in science, even in reporting. So I'm just doing my best. So yeah, like, that's just generally my tips for anybody else who struggles to find a good source of any kind of like news, is that as long as you find someone who can back up what they are saying with sources to decent sources, although decent sources does change over time. Like, when I was in uni, the BBC was a decent source. Now, I'd probably not say it is. But also, generally, I highly encourage you looking into media literacy and critical thinking skills, because I don't think schools teach this anywhere in like the white Western world. I'm not going to say I'm like this because of my autism, but I do think that being autistic my personal experience of being autistic has led to me always questioning things. Because people often contradict themselves and don't realise that they are contradicting themselves. And I've always been that kind of person to say, but that doesn't make sense because of what you said here. Even all the way down to like when you're learning about like spelling. I remember, because I'm dyslexic too, so I struggled, I was behind with this, but it doesn't help when what you're being taught doesn't really make sense. So I remember being told that every word has a vowel in it. And I said, but what about my or sky, or, things with Y's in instead of vowels? And like, there's definitely other words too. They're like, oh, well, why is an honorary vowel? I'm like, well, you just made that up on the fucking spot. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't just tell me every word has a vowel in it when it's not true. So like, I think that's just always been my own personal thought process for everything. And because I have this need to learn things, need to understand stuff, that's where I am today. I'm not sure that anyone necessarily taught me media literacy or critical thinking. So unfortunately, a lot of people do need to do that, and then some people swing a little bit too far the other way and have a tinfoil hat on. And it's really hard because some of the things they say technically aren't a lie. Like, you can't trust the media. You fucking can't trust the media. You can't trust the mainstream media. How do you explain that without just further confirming their tinfoil hat thoughts, you know? It's very difficult, and that's why people need to develop those skills, because it's not as simple, it's not black and white. There are some articles written by really great people on the BBC website, and people have caused the BBC to correct many things in their articles, which are written definitely with like a political purpose, like about Palestine is a good example. I think that happened recently. That's my opinion! But yeah, and like, even as simple as these articles that just clearly didn't read the source material that caused this whole like, Kourtney Kardashian's autosexual, say, like, just question it. Like, don't take everything at face value. And I know it's hard, especially when we all have stuff going on and we don't all have like the ability or capacity to go and research some fucking random thing, you know? I mean, I guess that's partly why I make my videos, is that I do that for things that I do have particular special interest in. And there you go. You can look at my sources or whatever. But yeah, basically the end of the video is, these articles are not correct. Kourtney Kardashian has not said anywhere that I can find that she is autosexual in any, she's not said it anywhere. I can't find it. If you find it though, let me know. I will happily correct myself in like the comments or the description or something. Maybe make a second video looking into it properly again. But as far as I can find, it's just untrue and completely like inaccurately reported on some blog post, because some fans also took it out of context, or some fans' statements were out of context and were taken in, I don't know. Either way, they're wrong. The media, the mainstream media sucks. And they always have an angle. And actually, a lot of the times, this is actually something that I think is really good to keep in mind. A lot of the times, final articles are not what the writer wrote. It's what the editor changed without telling the writer. That happens quite a lot as well, and it's something to keep in mind, that not everything that has been written was the writer. But the writer is the one most likely to get the shit because their name's on it, and the editors won't, because again, there's a whole team of editors and they're kind of like behind the scenes guys. Like, yeah, they'll be credited as editors, but they won't be credited on each individual article for the most part. Yeah, for like, if there are problems with articles, there's a few things you can do. One of them is definitely blame the publication themselves, and maybe like the main editors, like the head editors, who, like, I think most things have to go through them before anything's published, but I could be wrong. I've never worked like an official in-office editor job for a magazine, so I don't know. I've not even been a writer for one either, so I don't know exactly. But then also, anything that is inaccurate or inflammatory, you can report to, I can't remember what they're called, the IPO or something, IOP, something like that. I'll put the links and stuff. Yeah, you can do it for articles and things on TV, things on the news. I've done it a few times, but you do need to have quite a lot of specific information, like especially if it's TV, when it came on the TV, what channel it was, all that sort of thing. So it's helpful to find out those details to share if you think that some reporting or whatever has just been completely incorrect, because honestly, fuck these guys. They've been the sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a metaphor. I'm autistic, guys. They have been sort of the kindling and the soft breeze to the humongous fire that is misinformation and vitriol towards marginalised people and communities. So
that's my opinion!
Anything that looks like bollocks, look into it. And if it is bollocks, report them. Because usually a lot of the times, there's an investigation. Most of the time it has to be changed. Sometimes it won't be, but just keep doing it. I keep telling people to do it. Again, all that information will be in the description for you to use as and when you think is necessary. So that's my video. I don't know how coherent? Why am I coherent? I don't know how coherent that was, because now I'm just like tired and aggravated by all the noise. But hopefully I said something. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Yeah, I'm done for the day. I can't speak. I literally can't speak anymore. Like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to watch my other videos, because the watch time is what I'm lacking to get to partner, okay? That's it for this week. I will see you next week. Bye.